Hey there! Welcome to Sales Enablement Genius. I'm your host, Nitin Karthik. As Director of Product Marketing and a top product marketing voice, sales enablement is one of my core responsibilities. And I've always found that real world case studies are the true litmus test for the effectiveness of any sales enablement strategy. And that is why on this show, we dive into the minds of industry titans as well as rising stars, unpacking their expertise in action packed episodes that showcase the power of sales enablement through real world case studies. And today, my friends, we are joined by sales enablement genius Stephanie Middaugh, who is head of global go to market enablement at Pinecone and CEO at Phoenix Go to Market Consulting and co founder of the Enablement Squad, if that isn't enough. Stephanie has been recognized as a top LinkedIn voice and has held senior positions at WorkRamp, Zoom, Alteryx, and other organizations. With over 14 years of experience in enablement, training, and sales operations, Stephanie has earned a track record of building impactful and scalable programs at companies has had successful exits such as IPOs and acquisitions. Stephanie loved to break the mold and push the boundaries of what training and enablement typically looks like. Her least favorite phrase is, "We've always done it that way." No good. She enjoys working at early stage startups, building processes and programs from the ground up to support growing and changing businesses. Stephanie also finds joy in giving back to the enablement community and providing a space for enablement professionals to network and connect. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor. Let's welcome Stephanie Middaugh. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm going to have you do all of my intros from now on. This was great. I'm just going to record you doing that, and you're just going to be my hype man. I like it.
There you go. There you go. All right. We have a plan now, Stephanie.
Yes.
Wonderful. So, Stephanie, today, as promised, we'll give our audience a situation from your experience and we'll discuss it using the ABC framework. So, we'll talk about the antecedents, what were the prior challenges, we'll talk about the behaviors, what were some of the actions that you took, and we'll talk about the conclusion, how things played out. So, with that, Stephanie, pick a situation from your experience and tell us what were the antecedents, what were the prior challenges?
Yeah. I'm going to pick one that's applicable to me like right now, like in this moment. So I'm actually in the process of building the enablement function from the ground up here at Pinecone. We're a hyper growth startup organization, and nothing really existed when I came in about 10 months ago. So I think that kind of makes sense, like to dive into like the challenges. Where do you even start? Like, how do you build an enablement function? Where do you focus your time? What's the first thing you should tackle? What are the things that you should maybe like, focus all of your energies on? And how do you avoid those inevitable kind of shifts of startup life, and especially in kind of a crazy market that we find ourselves in? So I mean, overall, like that's the main challenge is, where do you even begin? Like, where do you start? What do you do?
Sometimes, Stephanie, that is the biggest challenge, right? There are like so many things that we can do. It's like, where do
Yes.
we start? Wonderful. So, given those challenges, tell us, how did you approach this? What kind of behaviors, what were the actions that you took here?
The first thing, number one, I would say, like, you kind of take it from like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is like, don't panic, is like the number one thing to do. Really easy to find yourself. I mean, I found myself in this, like, just like last week, I was overwhelmed with all of the things that needed to get done. But the first thing is like, one, don't panic. And then two, just like, start by having conversations across the business. Don't fall into kind of analysis paralysis and spending too much time on having meetings and talking, like lots of talking. Like, don't, like, do a little bit of talking, a lot of listening, but like start there, understand kind of like what the business needs first and foremost, and then start small. Like, what are the small impactful wins that you can like get out the door really quickly? Perfect example of this is like my first week, I noticed that there was a lot of communication happening to my teams, like across all of the different channels, email and Slack and whatever. I took, like, by the end of my first week here, I created a newsletter. Like, I was just like, I'm going to collect all of the things. I'm going to launch a newsletter with the free MailChimp account. And it's consistently, like on every single week, basically for my tenure here, which is all of like 10 months. But it's been pretty consistent feedback that it's like a really great kind of avenue for people to get the information. So small, impactful, quick win that I can just like get out the door, and then I can come back and focus on what are the larger things that we need to focus on. What can I spend some more time focusing my energy on? Onboarding is a perfect example. My first onboarding iteration was super janky. If you ask any of the reps that went through it, they were like, "This is great," but it was like, I mean, I'm actually about 2.5 weeks out from running my fifth iteration of onboarding, and I'm moving into kind of like, okay, what does V2 look like? So like, don't be afraid to start small and scale and move forward and iterate consistently.
Wow. This is, I think, a great piece of advice for anyone who's entering into the fire and trying to hit the ground running. So wonderful. And so tell us, Stephanie, now that we understand the challenges and the behaviors, you're still in the midst of this, but tell us
Yeah.
about the conclusion in terms of how things are playing out right now.
Yeah. Um, uh, Feedback and gratitude across the
Mhm.
organization has been really, really amazing, which is great.
Mhm.
I've watched our go-to-market team grow from like 15 people when I joined all the way up to 50 most recently. Like it's in 9 short months. It's been absolutely insane. And while at times it can be frustrating, I mentioned like last week I was in kind of like panic mode. I look back, I look at all of the things on my to-do list, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm never going to get to any of these. But you look back on like my 9 months that have been here, and I'm like, okay, no, I've actually like small little steps in the forward kind of direction, couple of steps maybe backwards a couple of times, but that's okay. It's kind of the journey. Understanding that like constantly iterate, constantly ask for feedback, like get in front of the people that you need to get in front of, be supportive, build those relationships. You won't solve everything, and you won't have a zero inbox kind of, career in startup enablement, but it's one of those things where those small incremental kind of changes or iterations can make some really significant progress after a while.
Absolutely fabulous. Stephanie, I think I want to highlight a couple of things that you mentioned that
Yeah.
our audience should really take away. I love how you said the first thing is don't panic. Okay. It can be very tempting when you have this huge to do list, especially if you're new, to just get overwhelmed and throw your hands up. So, first, don't panic, stay calm. I also love how you said that you should be incremental, right? Don't try to boil the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Take little steps, right? Always moving forward. And the third thing I want to highlight is it may be a story of two steps forward, one step back, right? When you have a
Yeah.
setback, again, don't get discouraged. It's okay as long as you're making two steps forward, one step back. You're moving generally forward. So fabulous advice. So thank you, Stephanie. This was great. Tell us, Stephanie, if people wanted to learn more about you, where can they find out more?
Yeah, I am all over LinkedIn. You can definitely connect with me there. That's probably the easiest way for folks to connect with me. I love to connect and network with other professionals kind of in the space. So don't hesitate to reach out or send me a connection request or an email or anything like that. But yeah, that's the easiest place for them to find me.
Awesome. So, folks, there you have it. Definitely hit up Stephanie on LinkedIn and get more valuable advice like this. And my friends, armed with that knowledge, onward and upward.